It's time for another book review, and this is your quick way to get access to the information so you don't have to read the book or determine if you want to read the book.
We would recommend you read the book, though.
We really like this one, and it's about marriage, so tune in.
Mama says namaste.
Mama says namaste.
Making a family can be easy and fun.
Oh, yeah, but raising a family can be a whole different story.
From spouses to kids to the crazy daily grind, life often directs us away from connection and more into reactive chaos.
If you're tired of that cycle and are seeking something beyond the picket fence blues, this is the show for you.
I'm Ashley.
And I'm Nathan.
And we're here to take you from chaos to clarity by bringing awareness and intention into your home, not waiting for one day, and highlighting how
the uniqueness in each of us strengthens all of us.
Take a deep breath in and let's start a brand new day. With Mama says namaste.
I read a few marriage books last year that I was like, oh, this is a great one for me to have as a go-to for clients. And I know one of the ones that we read was Why Marriages Succeed or Fail by John Gottman. Mm-hmm. And that one, I mean, that's a classic from ages ago and all kinds of research and study. And
no beating around the bush with that title either.
No, it's not. And while I still do love that book, I found a book that I thought just was such a great epitome of what I strived for in a relationship. And it was written in a very easy way it's a quick read. And so I felt like not only does it give you the great information that I want to be able to impart to couples that I work with, but also it's in a bite-sized format. So it's easy and manageable to get through and to read.
Which all the greatest lessons are usually very simple ones that are really hard to commit into your life.
That's so true. Yeah, so this book that we are talking about today is called The Go-Giver Marriage, a little story about the 5 secrets to lasting love.
So the Go-Giver, they do a couple different brands of this idea, this storyline of kind of somebody struggling with an idea, right?
Right. The focus of every single one of these Go-Giver books, and there's a lot of different Go-Giver ones, and Bob Burg was the original creator and it was co-written by Bob Burg and John David Mann. And every single one of the books go around the consistent theme that little everyday acts of generosity can completely transform and deepen any relationship. And so as they were creating these books, people started asking, well, can we apply the Go-Giver principles outside of business? Can we apply it in our relationships at home? Can we apply it in our marriage? And that's where this book came from. And the only reason Bob Burg is not a co-author on it is because he didn't feel he had the clout to do it because he's never been married. Yeah, I found that out in the backstory of the book. And so it ended up that John David and his wife, Anna Gabriel Mann, laid out these 5 secrets and uses a lot of the principles for the Go-Giver to create this book.
It's a great, easy read that you can probably sit down and read in an afternoon if you really wanted to.
Right. So we wanted to share kind of what we got out of the book. In the Go-Giver Marriage, it's written kind of as a parable. And so you've got this little story in the beginning that's kind of walking through the story of this couple, Tom and Tess. And they have the best of intentions, but their marriage and ultimately the life they'd created together were challenged. They had work demands. They had a child with special needs. And they kind of had created this life where they spent more time in reaction mode than really seeing it for what it was.
I'm glad none of us get into that.
Right,
kind
exactly.
Of role.
Well, and that's the beauty of it is I feel like all of us can have something that will resonate with us in Tom and Tessa's story. There's something that will be like, oh, I know where they're at.
Well, it's just the classic snowball of life story.
Right.
I mean, we all have experienced that where we are not living the same life we were living when we first got married, and we are not the same people.
Right. And that's great when we're moving forward at the same time, but how easily life can derail us and we start moving down our separate paths. And then we start to look at, what's the purpose of everything we're creating? And so in the blog post that I wrote that goes along with today's episode, I dug into some other aspects. I wanted to kind of provide some different sides to the story in the podcast versus the blog. And so in the blog, I lay out the story of the Mexican fisherman and really looking at what is your purpose. And so often in our relationships, we can go, and then there's one little issue, one little problem that we don't navigate, and then that becomes a bigger one. We keep avoiding, and all of a sudden we're going in two different directions in our home. And oftentimes, you can use the work as the excuse where, I'm working for the family and in turn losing the family in the process. And so we really wanted to get to the core message of what the Go-Giver is about. So the first section is all their story and how they experienced just a cast of different characters that showed them these 5 powerful secrets, and how that shifted not just building a love that lasts between the two of them, but how it created a ripple effect through their overall lives. So the main focus is keeping it simple.
Oh, no. It can't be that
complicate it
easy.
as much as possible, right?
There's got to be a nice list somewhere. You
Well,
can just follow and check off.
I really like the thought of keeping things simple. We don't keep things black and white. Life is not black and white. Life is gray. Life is muddy. Life is messy. We're not talking about making everything one extreme or the other. We're just saying, let's keep it as simple as possible. Let's not overanalyze. In the book, it says lasting love is like good health. More than any grand gestures or big dramatic life changes, it's built out of the little things you do every day.
That's so true. Every little tiny bit you take
Right.
and you put inside your heart or your mouth.
Right.
It's the same thing.
So let's get into what the 5 secrets are.
Well, the first lesson this family kind of lands on in the book is a great one, and it is appreciate. A lot of times our gratitude is glossed over. There's a great Johnny Cash line in Rose of My Heart that he says, "Together we're as close as could be, but sometimes it's hard to find the space in between to tell you what you mean to me." And life happens. We get moving so fast and we forget to tell each other how much we care about each other.
Mm-hmm. Or when we do, it's more like, hey, thanks for being you.
Yeah.
Thanks for being is a statement we use in our household, and I love it, and it's a beautiful one. But sometimes, if I just say, hey, thanks for dinner every single night, and that's all I do, it kind of loses its luster.
Eventually, if it becomes mechanical. But that's only if I'm mechanically cooking dinner.
Well, I love taking it a step further. Examples of appreciation is beyond just a generic thanks for cooking dinner. It's really being specific. Examples of appreciation that they have in the book are thanking your partner for their thoughtfulness, kindness, patience, insight, honesty, or sense of humor, for being a generous person and always giving people the benefit of the doubt, for their parenting in any situation, like dealing with a tantrum or how they took care of a sick child in the night, for their physical appearance, in and out of clothing, for chores done, for their encouragement, for bragging to a friend about your recent accomplishment at work, for smiling at you when you wake up and kissing you before bed, for leaving you notes, for picking up the miles of toys that toddlers leave all over the house daily. Like, what could you say as a token of appreciation to your partner that is specific, very specific about something about them that really shows not only that you're grateful for them, but you notice them, you see them.
And that is a powerful tool in a relationship, because if you feel noticed by your significant other, it really means something to you. Mm-hmm. It's something that, it kind of gives you, pumps your chest out a little bit, and you feel like, okay, this is good. They see that I'm picking up all of the cat poop out of the mangy animals. But,
right.
It's just those little things that, you find on how to, the next one, which is attend.
How to attend. Now, before we get to attend, I want to just say the one last part of it, and that's for each one of these, they end it also with a daily practice, and I love it, and I want to share the daily practice with you so you can think of how you want to apply these secrets if you're just listening to the podcast here. And the daily practice for that first one of appreciate is each day find 3 things to appreciate about your partner and take the time to tell them. Okay, so now let's go into the attend.
And that take the time to tell them is really important, because it's not always assumed.
You're right. It's not.
They
We
know
assume
I
it's
love
assumed.
them.
Right. We
Well.
assume because we're still laying in the bed next to them that we love the relationship. But I know of a lot of relationships where laying in the bed is about as close as they are in any other form. It's just proximity, and the emotions and the connection is not there. So don't ever assume. Let your partner know how much you appreciate them. And number 2
is attend. It's it's kind of a perspective shift of, allowing yourself to be aware of the needs of others and taking care of them.
Right. This one is, it was kind of a little bit of a perspective shift for me, because I saw that it's kind of one of those, when you are a small child, you are attended to. You're cared for by those that you trust, that support you. And then as you grow, you become more autonomous and more independent.
Sometimes taking terrific pride in that independence.
Right, and everything that you can do yourself. But ultimately, we still have that little child within us. And that little child still feels valued and cherished when they're attended to and when they're loved on and catered to. And I think about that. I mean, oh my gosh, something that's beautiful that you do for me is Monday Massage Day. Because Monday is the day that I load as much work as I can. It's the process that works for me is doing an intense day of work at the beginning of the week to help me kind of feel in control of the rest of the week. And so we've figured out that that's a rhythm that works for us and for our family. And yet our family knows that by the end of the night, my brain might be a little bit more mush and I don't have the bandwidth to make decisions and everything else. And Nathan not only covers the evening, but then gives me a massage. Like, you take care of my body on the day that I oftentimes am the least respectful of my body. I might have sat at a desk for way too long and forgot to get up and stretch, or didn't eat the perfect, diet that day, or whatever else, because I recognize Monday is my workaholic day. I give it that day because it's the day that I'm making lots of decisions. I'm in lots of meetings. I'm getting lots of work knocked out. And I always feel a great sense of accomplishment on that day. And I enjoy what I do. And I've got to be taken care of a little bit. The way that we load it, I need to have that recharge. And Nathan, you do such an amazing job of attending to me and caring for me so that I am recharged and it doesn't become a major drain in my life or our relationship and ultimately all of our lives.
Right. And a lot of it just, sometimes it requires just having a conversation, sitting down and saying, when do you feel the most stress? Because maybe I don't see it. And that's what we started doing is we said, okay, like one of the ways we structured this was we said, okay, Mondays will be you're being attended to. Wednesdays, I am attended to. And then on Fridays, we attend to each other. And so it just kind of created this habit of we don't always hold firm to it, but if we're having one of those weeks, it's one of those old trails that we can just fall right back into and say, hey, let's do Monday, Wednesday, Friday again.
It's so true.
Yeah, let's do that. And so it just helps. Sometimes we aren't naturally attentive. And so it's important to bake that into your life so that you're allowing time to be attentive. If you don't allow time to it, it won't happen. You'll be attentive to your children. You'll be attentive to your house and work. And then at the end of the day,
you'll be attentive to the things that are the loudest. And it's not always the spouse. Yeah.
Or yourself. And so you don't take care of yourself or your spouse, and you guys collapse in the bed at the end of the day just trying to get enough sleep to make it through the next.
Yeah.
And that is where you just have to break that habit and say, hey, let's give ourselves, everybody goes to bed 30 minutes early and we spend 30 minutes attending to each other and we just rotate. And that kind of stuff can really help get you in the habit and create that compounding effect of awareness.
Right. So the daily practice for attend is to find at least one way each day to show your love for your partner through some meaningful, tangible action. It could be as simple as just going up and putting your hand, on their back and just giving them a rub of support and just saying, hey, I love you and I really appreciate you. I mean, there you go. Then you knock out the first 2 secrets. You're attending to them and, taking a moment to check in with them and feel their body as they feel their body. And all of a sudden, maybe that's a body check because they've been in their mind for a while. And so what are those little things you can do to attend to each other? Okay, number 3 then, very similar with all of these, is allow. as we start to move into our own autonomy, we not only do we have less people that are attending to us, but we also can draw more defined lines around what we'll allow, what we expect, and what we want. And so we can start to kind of have an agenda as to how things are supposed to be. And that can oftentimes cause a lot of conflict in a relationship.
No.
Right.
Expectations?
Right. And I put in the blog, I put one of my favorite quotes from Brene Brown that says, "The last thing we need in the midst of our struggle is shame for being human." We have got to take that into account. As much as I want to show up and be the rock star parent, I am not always that. As much as I want to show up and be the rock star wife, I am not always that. There are times I mess up. I say the wrong thing. I do the wrong thing. I don't show up in the way that I'd like to. And do I need to have the extra shame of Nathan correcting me and telling me that? No. I love that what we look at instead is how we can pick up the slack for one another. We'll tag team. And I know a great opportunity for this was us with young kids. We had young kids, toddlers are pulling at us, and you can feel the tension mounting in a room. And all of a sudden, it's like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of built up tension. Everybody's pulling at somebody. What do? We explode and become our worst selves, or can we look at an opportunity to save each other from ourselves? And Nathan would do, again, I mean, I'm so grateful for your attentiveness to me to be able to notice when I was maxed. And so you would step up and you'd say, hey, let me take the kids for a minute. Why don't you take a break, take a breather? And those opportunities, again, a lot of it has to do with semantics. Now, if you come in as the hero and push your partner out of the way every time that they're struggling.
You look like you're out of control, lady. Let a man take over.
That is not the way to help a relationship. And we are not talking about taking over and being the knight in shining armor. We're not talking about superhero relationship here where it ends up becoming a point of resentment or a feeling of control. Not at all. What we're talking about is recognizing when we're not at our finest and loving each other enough through it that we'll give each other grace and support. To recognize that, when I'm at my wit's end, I'm not being the best mommy, and giving me a little bit of a breather and taking the kids off of my hands for a moment may allow me to show up in a better way. Or it's recognizing things like...
Well, I think it's to your point. Like that's what we're trying to do, is help each other show up as our best. And so if we see that, like as a team, if I see you are running out of steam, I can tag you out of the game and give you a break.
Right.
And that helps and supports each other. And that's appreciated by each other. And I mean, I remember, you doing this for me, and we would always do this for each other. So, reciprocity is a really big piece to this,
right.
This game is, if one person is always coming in and saving the situation, that's not a good scenario. You want to both be allowed, both have skin in that game.
All right, I forgot to share examples of attending. So let me share examples of allowing and attending. First off, for attending to somebody and showing up for them, it's things like we talked about, Nathan and I giving each other massages. It may be remembering their favorite foods or snacks or drinks or colors or flowers. It may be showing affection, reaching out and touching their hand, doing laundry or other chores you don't normally take on, bringing them hot coffee or tea, bringing them a glass of wine, noticing when they're blue or upset, rubbing their aching shoulders or feet. I mean, these are all things that you can do to attend to somebody and care for them. So then how do we allow? Allowing is what you do when life is too big or too challenging for one person to take on alone. So you might bring a generous spirit to your marriage by, like we talked about, taking over with the kids when your partner is at the end of their rope or just needs some time to themselves. Handling a task or chore that's just too much for your partner at that moment, staying calm during an argument and being open to their point of view, dropping whatever you had planned in the moment when it feels important to your partner to do something different, letting go of defensive reactions and admitting when you're wrong or forgot an important day or date or messed up in some other way. Letting go of the ego's game of needing to be right. Those are the ways that you allow. And oh my gosh, that last one right there. Letting go of the ego's name of needing to be right. That right there, I will say, has been my biggest work. My biggest work in that secret was that right there. And that's the biggest gift of allowance that I give to Nathan, is choosing to be kind over choosing to be right.
You just let me wallow in my ignorance. You're so sweet.
There we go. All right. The next one is believe. Do you truly have faith in your partner? We all have insecurities. So is your partner validating your insecurities, or is speaking faith and confidence in you? Again, thank you for challenging me to step into my big girl pants more than what I realized I could.
Get on that bike, girl.
You've pushed me to be more independent than what I could on my own, just because you believed in me. You believed I could, and so how could I let you down? What an amazing perspective to have. And it is such a huge aspect of your trust. When we lack our basic belief in our partner, we lack basic trust. And right there is a recipe for divorce.
Yeah. I mean, you have got to have a foundation of trust and honesty. And I mean, those two pieces to me are that's been really helpful for us. I mean, even when the honesty is something that is an evolutionary thing, like my space of being honest with myself, hey, this really bugs me when this happens, can change over the years. But having a space where you can really be honest and share, man, here's where we're at, or here's where I'm feeling, or can we try this, or can we try that? So what are some things that we can do to support belief in each other? Because that can be a hard one to, if you don't trust your partner at this point,
right.
That can be a hard one to break through.
Right. So let me be real clear. These are ways you can show. It says, while appreciation and intention may focus on 1,000 little things about your partner, belief goes straight to the very core of who they are. It is your relationship's bedrock. You might express to your partner your belief in their goodness as a person, their kindness and empathy, their integrity, their talent or skill or ability at whatever, fill in the blank, their ambitions, aspirations, life goals, what a phenomenal parent they are, or a friend or a partner they are. Those are all different ways to step into how you can show your partner a belief. So your daily practice is to take one opportunity each day to show or express your faith in your partner.
And like that, this was done by us this morning. Ashley does a journal between her and our girls that they kind of swap back and forth. And I was watching her journal on it and work on it and really stew on it. And we had some interesting things pop up on our daughter's phone this morning, and which caused some conversation. I just really appreciated the environment and the energy that Ashley put into parenting. You really try and show up. It's not just kind of I'll do this, and I'm working and a parent. I'm really trying at both. And I walked up to you and I said, I told you how thankful I was that I just appreciate the relationship that you build with our girls, because that is something I can't make you do.
Right.
I can't force them to create. You have to be an active player in that.
Right. Right. Yeah, I'm so grateful for both of us choosing to continue to show up. And do number 5, which the last secret is grow. It has nothing and everything to do with your partner, because we both have the potential to move forward in life. Whether we both choose to is up to us as individuals. I mean, it's looking at, do we have a growth mindset or a fixed mindset in our lives? And we've talked about this, and this being a whole other podcast episode just on that. I believe that if you have a similar mindset, you can make it work, good or bad. I mean, you can have 2 people in a fixed mindset that make things work. You can have 2 people in a growth mindset that make things work. But where I see the biggest disconnect is one person's ready to grow and the other person has stopped trying.
Yeah.
And that is a very hard disconnect to get past.
But it can it can be done with some honesty and some
right.
good conversation, and maybe even some counseling. But that is the piece with growth. It's something to really monitor, because if you're not checking in with each other's growth and where you're at and where you're growing, you can go through a couple years and realize you've grown in some very different directions.
Right. So look at, if you're threatened by your partner's growth, why? Do you feel resentment and just find yourself justifying why you're not at the same level? Maybe that's an opportunity to check yourself there. Oftentimes when I have felt resentment toward Nathan, it has been completely my own fault. For example, feeling resentment for him sitting out in the sun playing a ukulele while I'm working my butt off inside. Why did I have resentment? Because he's relaxing and I'm working hard. Did I dig deeper? Yes. What did I find out? Well, I had resentment because I didn't make the space for myself to do the same. I had every right to go sit out in the sunshine too. We knew not everything was done in the house because nothing is ever always done. If I wait for everything to be wrapped up in a pretty bow, I'll never take the chance to recharge. So instead of building resentment for Nathan taking the chance to recharge when he needs it, I looked at what I could take responsibility for and how could I give myself the same opportunities to recharge.
Thank you for not beating up your lazy husband.
You do a lot of work. You work hard and you play hard.
Well, but that is the truth of it is, that's what I learned in real estate is you have got to take care of yourself. Mm-hmm. In any job, you have got to learn to take care of yourself. And, it's some of us can make it look really easy.
Well, think about when you do that, though, and when you bring your own growth to the table, you're bringing the endorphin rush and the energy and the excitement and the pride of what you've accomplished. You're also bringing new conversation and insights from your own personal growth and discovery. I mean, that's huge.
I mean, I go on a ride with a group of guys a couple times a week. And whenever I return, the first question...
There's always stories.
Well, the girls always want to know, did you keep up? Did they drop you? No, I kept up this time. And I've talked about my growth through that experience with everyone where, when I first started, I couldn't keep up with them. And I was... The
first time Nathan started biking with this group, you threw up the first ride,
and
right?
This isn't like, let me preface, these are with 70 and 80-year-old men that smoked me. I mean, loop back around to make sure I was still alive. Oh, yeah, I'm good. I'm fine. And so, but then they were like, this is probably not the club for you. I was like, oh no, I'm going to be back. I'm a persistent little fella. And I was, and I have, and I really enjoy them and they enjoy me. And now I'm riding with their fastest group.
Which, I mean, we're not talking slow pokes. When he says the ages, don't let that deceive you because...
these cats are cruising. The slow guys we go 18 to 20.
18 to 20 miles per hour. So think about if you can clock that.
And that's in Florida with no hills.
Yes.
You pedal that the whole time.
I have succeeded in accomplishing 11
miles.
And I think I got 11 once.
11 miles
11 miles per hour once. So it's incredibly fast. But so he's pushing himself. Some other ways that you can grow, go back to school, maybe just expand and deepen your knowledge and not even for a degree. There's lots of different courses and classes. Claire is hitting me up for a whole bunch from the Cornell Lab of Ornithology right now in classes she wants to take. Take a painting or photography or other creative arts class. Write that book or poem or collection of memories you've always thought about writing. Learn a martial art or a language or cooking classes. Start a book club. Travel to new places, go on hikes. These are all ways of growing. So your daily practice is to spend at least 1 hour every day doing something that brings you closer to who you're seeking to become, to being your best self. Build your cathedral. Build that beautiful spot that shows you how to, that gives you more to share with the rest of the world, more excitement and more of your own spark as you're discovering new things. So, our challenge for you, remember that love is a practice. It's actively showing up. It's engaging every day, and it's choosing to love that person as much as you can for that day. It's not just a one-time I do.
No, love is work. You have to go to work to get your paycheck, and you have to go to your spouse to get your love. I mean, that you have got to show up.
And the jarring thing with this is the fact that the more you love yourself, the easier it is going to be to love them in the process. because as we focus on our own growth and our grace as we learn it, it gives us the opportunity to see the same in our partner.
That way you don't bite their head off when they're playing ukulele in the sun.
Exactly. You recognize the beauty of what they've cultivated in their own home or in their own life.
There you go.
So focus on these 5 not so secret anymore secrets. Appreciate, attend, allow, believe, and grow. Don't even worry about what your partner is doing. This is a challenge for you, for whoever who is listening to this podcast right now. It is just for you. We're challenging you to do these 5 things every day this week. Appreciate, attend, allow, believe, grow. Do this for your partner and see how they respond. It's not your job to make them happy. It's your job to make you happy. And so when you start looking at through these lenses and you start looking at how you're going to give this happiness as it exudes out of you, as you're growing and as you're believing in the people that you trust, that you are choosing to spend life with, and as you're choosing love, that's where you're going to find way more joy that ripples out and becomes that ripple effect of impact in your home. So before we go today, I want to share with you a beautiful post I just happened to see yesterday on Facebook. I opened it up and the first thing I see is a post from a lady who used to babysit my children. And we've always held her as the pinnacle of the best babysitter ever. We've so enjoyed not only what Kate brought to our lives, but now we've been seeing how she has gone on since we have all moved from our locations in Nashville, Tennessee. And she's created this beautiful family in Austin, Texas. And she posted yesterday a beautiful picture of her and her husband. And it was her Valentine's tribute. And I have to say, this right here is the essence of what we're getting at. She says, "We got in one of those fights last night that's about the dishes, but it's not really about the dishes. You know what I mean? This year is a Valentine's that falls in a week where we've been 2 porcupines in close quarters, a bit prickly with one another. And to be honest, that feels, right? Because our love has settled into ourselves, more of a campfire and less of a firework. There are holes at the knees and schedules, laundry and coffee cups spill out the sides. It feels right to be in this prickly patch on Valentine's, because there is not one doubt in either of our minds that this is the one who we want to bicker about the dishes with. So we get to work, leaning in, extending vulnerability, sewing up holes, and providing safe places for each other. Being smack dab in the middle of a fight and having zero anxieties or doubts that this man is devoted to me and to our family, this is the real stuff of love. Happy Valentine's Day to the love of my life. And please, for the love of all things holy, face the knives down in the dishwasher. Thank you." I love this, Kate. And I love the relationship that you are building and creating and cultivating on a daily basis with the love of your life. And I hope that this can serve as a reminder for all of us that their life is messy. Our relationships aren't perfect, and we aren't perfect, and we'll mess up. And it's not about having an argument-free relationship. It's about knowing that that argument doesn't end it, that there is faith, that you will go on, that you have that acceptance, that appreciation, that you show up, you believe in them, and that you're willing to grow together. Where we can then celebrate how?
The uniqueness in each of us strengthens all of us. Namaste.
1, 2, 3. Up with the rising sun, already on the run. Mama says namaste. Life is a tangled mess, and you don't have to stress. Mama says namaste. 'Cause today I will stand up and be all the change that I want to see in this world. Boys and girls, you gotta have to stand up to be free. Namaste in your heart. Take a deep breath in and let's start a brand new day. With Mama says namaste.